All right, let's call this meeting to order, please. May I have a roll call?
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Here.
Councilman Sachsenheimer.
Here.
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Evans. Councilman Nelson.
Present.
Councilman Hong.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yolanda, you're muted.
Here.
Yeah, we got it. All right. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the statement of our values in the city of Normandy, we uphold our values by being an example of effective municipal government through building a professional team of city officials and staff dedicating to serving the residents of Normandy with integrity and transparency. Is there a motion to approve the September 19th, 2023 regular city council meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Comments or corrections? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the September 28th City Council workshop meeting?
I'll make a motion.
A second?
Second. Whatever.
Any corrections or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Ms. Kiana, is there anyone that signed up to make citizen comments?
We do have 2 individuals who signed up but requested to be called at the end.
Oh, thank you. All right. All right, Mayor's report. I have 2 items. I wanted to thank our Parks Board who worked tirelessly to put together a really successful jazz concert at St. Vincent's Saturday night. There were over 200 people in attendance, and everybody had a really good time. It was exciting to see it come off like that. And special kudos to our police department. They put an operation plan together, and they really made a good name for themselves, and largely made the concert a success also. Second item is we're still working on the TIF. We expect a significant windfall of money from dissolving our TIF, and we've got an ordinance addressing that tonight. Hopefully by the November meeting, we'll have a budget amendment and present a balanced budget with that amendment. That's all I have. Is there a report from Ward 1?
I wanted to thank, I was hoping Tony would be here, for Tony helping me get the sign together for Norwood Manor and installing it. I was going to give him kudos. I don't know where he's at. But without his help, it wouldn't be there. So
Thank you.
I wanted to give him all the props, but that's all I have.
Eric?
I just want to thank the police for being on Bermuda. You guys are so present. I'm just loving it. People are just respecting now Bermuda Road. So I just want to thank the police for being out there. I love it.
Thank you. Ward 3?
Nothing to report, unusual,
Yeah, one thing, I want to address this to Sam, actually the board also. The lawsuits that we have currently going forward, I would like for the board and Sam and to possibly get with MOPR's representatives as well as our lawyer and maybe go over what we need to do because we have to maybe fight some of these lawsuits against our city because I spoke to Sam about getting information that we have to possibly fight these lawsuits. help us somewhere down the line. So I'd like to possibly have maybe Representative Demopine at our next workshop, if we can get that on our agenda. I think that we would be able to work together on trying to fight some of those lawsuits.
Thank you. Mr. Debbie, Mr.
The partnership meeting with Beyond Housing, Veneta Park has a service for people to write wills free. And then the first will that you do, if it needs to be changed, there's a minimum cost. But they work with you, they teach you how to write the will. So it's at Veneta Parks City Hall, and the secretary would know what, if you call what you're talking about. The other thing Veneta Park is having is job training for young people, and it's for developing their own sense of business, along with other kinds of things that go along with that, resume writing and things like that. And he's pulling in people, training people to do that. And so again, if you contact Veneta Park, the person answering the phone will know what you're talking about. And then October 21st at UMSL from 10 to 3 is Beyond Housing's yearly update of all they're doing, and they've either bought or they're renting the Legacy Center, the old McKinley School, and that will also be for young people with training and resume writing and computer training, and there will be a presentation about that along with many other presentations in regards to what they're doing. And it's from 10 to 3, October 21st. It's a Saturday. It's lovely. It's community oriented. People are friendly and talking, and we're having lunch together and going to all these speakers to learn what they're doing. Anyway.
Thank you. Yolanda, do you have anything to add for report from Ward 4?
No.
Ward 2, any report?
Yes, I just had a meeting with a couple of residents, a few residents from Ward 2 before I came here, so that's why I'm a little excited. They wanted to address cars being stolen out of driveways, continuous problem. Properties not being kept up, code enforcement. We need to work on that. Occupancy permits. We've been talking about that. Who's enforcing it? Some houses has up to 9 people living up in them. We need to do a citywide occupancy check, whether you own the house or you rent it. It's something we need to deal with. Dog enforcement. We've been having problems with dogs. Are we gonna do something about it? Council, mayor, city administrator? Hotel Park. I had a resident that rented the park on September 23rd. She got there about 9:30. She talked to, I guess, a number that she had on the card. They told her that she could call the day before. They said somebody be up there. She called it. Nobody came on that Saturday. The bathrooms was locked. She paid a $200 fee to rent it. Nobody was there to open it. Fortunately, she told me, Councilman Tony Evans just so happened to be coming up there. After about an hour, after she contacted, she said, the police department, and nobody came. And he was able to open up the place. And when they opened it up, it looked like a mess. It looked like a mess.
Yes, it was a mess.
She had to go home, get her own tissue, council, mayor,
Hand sanitizer
and sanitizer. She cleaned the bathroom
and hand towels.
and hand towels. And we just talked about it. I just brought this up 2 months ago. And nothing was done about it.
Trash cans was full.
So, I don't wanna shut the park down from our residents being able to utilize it for their parties, picnics, family reunions. But if this is the best that we can give for our citizens, we don't need to rent it out. We need to close it down. Real talk. I'm getting pissed because we already talked about it. My neighbor was a normally high school teacher for about 30, 40 years. And she's been living over in Normandy probably about 50 years or more. And this is the best that we can do for our citizens. We're not looking good. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. And Dennis, if you'll address the procedure for addressing those bathrooms when they're rented on weekends, whether we have staff up there, what the plan is to get those bathrooms.
We don't have staff up there.
Well,
Yeah.
when you give your report, just let us know what's the practice for renting on the weekends? Do we open the bathrooms, do we not? But just save it for when you give your report.
Well, the thing about it, if somebody's up there, I'm normally up there, you know, I'll stop up there and I'll open up the restrooms, but it's not my job to go up there every weekend to open up a restroom. That's not my job. You know, doing baseball season, I'm up there every day, but I shouldn't have to go up there on Saturdays to see if somebody's up there having some type of function to open up the restroom.
No, you should.
No,
Everybody agrees.
and buy toilet paper. I mean, I'm buying toilet paper out of my pocket, just so they would have toilet paper when they use it, but in this case, I didn't have it, the season was over, I'm like, I'm not buying no more toilet paper. Shouldn't have to do it.
Okay. No.
I got a big problem with that. And I wanna piggyback on one other thing, speed bumps. We have 2 residents in Ward 2 that constantly speed on a regular basis. Doing 60, 70, sometimes 80 miles an hour. They're going so fast where my cameras can't pick them up. We've been talking about speed bumps for over 2 years now. I brought it up 2 years
About
ago.
2 years
Yeah.
ago. I brought it up as a citizen.
And we're still dealing with the same issue. I'm like, Kevin, I'm getting tired. You know, I'm sitting at home working and here they come up the street, 80 miles an hour. And I'm sitting there like, damn, when is this gonna stop?
Oh,
You
is
know,
it?
we've been fighting for speed bumps for 2 years. I brought this issue up 2 years ago. And we're still waiting, It was gonna be put on CBG, it's not on CBG, now we're gonna go another route and do, I'm just getting tired of it. You know, a kid is gonna get killed, and I hate to say that because the bus stop is right up the street. Right up the street, in that little park area, someone's gonna get hurt. And I don't wanna see no one get hurt.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
City Administrator, Sam, report for us.
Sure, my written report is mostly what, this pertains to the business that we're gonna go over tonight, so I won't go too far into that. As far as some of the stuff that was brought up in the council member reports, if you have a code enforcement complaint, like 9 occupants in a house that can't contain 9 occupants, please make that to the city. I'm not aware of any complaint, not that I'm aware of every complaint that goes to our code enforcement officer. But if that's at an address, please just, make a call up to City Hall, and that goes for residents too. Let us know about it, and if we know about it, we can address it. As far as the park, as far as the procedure that we have right now is, if you want the bathrooms unlocked, there's a non-emergency line on the park permit that you call to get the bathrooms unlocked on the weekends. We could look into a different lock system for the park bathroom, but other than that, that's the system that we've had for a long time. We don't have the staff available to have someone up on a weekend. And I just want to point out one thing. You said that there was a $200 fee, there's a $200 deposit,
Right.
which, you get back unless you trash the place out. And if someone has, an unsatisfactory experience with our park, we refund the fee as well.
Yeah.
So, if that person wants to reach out, I'd be happy to talk with them and make sure that they get their refund. Because you are right, you know, we need to have better service when it comes to the park, and I think some more staffing, in public works, which is something that we struggled with this summer, it should improve it. And as far as speed bumps, that's something we're actively working on, like Councilman Evans said. Well, you know, speed bumps cost money, and so before we were looking through grant revenues to buy those speed bumps. Throughout the delay, there was lots of delays with that, so now we're looking at spending our own money. We're currently working on getting quotes. We talked about that at the last workshop, which was about a week and a half ago. So once we get all of our quotes back in, which can take a couple weeks, we'll bring proposals to council. I know everyone's gonna want speed bumps on the street, they may want multiple speed bumps on the street, but it, you know, it does cost money, we do have limited funds, so we'll have to make a decision about where best to place the speed bumps to get the most for our money. And I'll save the rest for the business items, unless anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I have one more question. As far as the trash cans up in Hosea Park, who's pulling the trash cans to the front so Waste Management can pick them up?
I'll leave that to the Director of Public Works, because I'm actually not sure.
Cause I'm pulling the trash cans every week. I went 3 weeks where I said, I'm not gonna go up there. I'm not gonna mess with these trash cans. Went up there last week, all 6 trash cans was packed. Smelling and packed, and I rode each one of them up to the front. Monday morning, I called Waste Management and asked them, could you please dump the trash in Hosea Park? Because trash cans, the only thing you have to do is pull them to the front. They'll pick them up, but if they're sitting down there at the pavilions, they're not gonna pick them up. We have to pull them up every Monday morning. And Steve met me up there one Sunday afternoon to pour trash cans. And if we don't do it, they're not gonna get set out. So we have trash sitting up there for months.
I have a question.
Hang on. It's,
That's all I have.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand a few weeks ago you mentioned that we had $500,000 in our street department, in our street funds. And, we spent 400 some thousand. And, there was money, grant money for the speed bumps. I recall a year or so ago, we had grant money for that. Is that correct, Councilman Evans?
We had CDBG funds dedicated to it, but our demos went way over
Okay.
what they were.
So therefore, the 500,000 that we spent on the streets, we still got potholes.
I don't know what you're referring to about the
Well, I'm
500,000.
just referring that you had mentioned that we spent 400 some thousand on streets and we had 90 some thousand left. I think it's in the minutes. So where did the money go? I just want to know.
I don't know what, and I don't know if I misspoke or.
I
I'm sorry
think
if I
Charles Ellis reported that in
Where's he
his,
gonna put
in
money?
his,
Yeah.
in his,
Oh, you're talking about the financial statement.
financial statement.
So,
yeah.
so that wasn't, you know, streets proper, that's just public works in general.
But
So-
I'm still seeing potholes everywhere. No speed bumps, no services for the city. That's what we're talking about, the service for the city, and where's the money?
Yeah, well, I mean, we just passed the budget for the 24 fiscal year at the last meeting, so that
Well,
tells us
this money was
what
in the
we can
budget,
spend
this
money
money
on
was in
and
the
what we
budget
can't.
for the last year's budget.
In last year's budget, there really wasn't anything built in for speed bumps, there was a small amount for
No, that
pothole
was
repair.
coming out of CDBG.
That was
funds.
CDBG funds. That was gonna be-
Yeah.
And
I
and I
will
don't
say-
wanna go into the weeds on CDBG funds because, although I'd be happy to, but we applied for our 20 fiscal year, our 2023 CDBG funds to be used for speed bumps. And what we have been spending out of our CDBG funds is from 2018 to 21. And we're still waiting for the 23 funds. But because demolitions ran over, it's just gonna be better to spend our own funds.
And I can add to a lot of these concerns and frustrations. There's nothing we can't fix with money.
So,
Money's a huge challenge right now.
So-
We had a really tough time passing a budget with limited funds.
so you're saying overruns, Sam? What type of overruns? With CBG funds, you said it was overrun? Was the project more than what we
Yeah,
anticipated?
specifically on the 2021 and 2022 applications for demolitions. Due to inflation, our project demolition for 2 houses went over a total of about $4,000. And we had 7,000 set out for speed bumps, that's over half of what we had set out. And where it gets complicated is the reps from CDBG at San Luis County will borrow from this year to that year. And same thing with the sidewalk project, which was higher than expected, and with that, we just did less sidewalks, but, I don't know if that
Well,
helps
Sam, I
clarify.
just want to add that the streets are the most important, the safety for the citizens. The houses and yards, they're not moving. People ride on the streets. You know, and as far as my concern with the bathrooms, we do have officers, because I remember we called that we had fences back over here that needed to be locked, and there were officers that would lock them. We have a lot of police officers. We could have one maybe open up that Saturday.
Dennis, yeah, that's been addressed. Let's keep it focused on questions for Sam's report. If you got
I got
questions,
something for Sam. I
Yeah.
just wanted to just say, Sam, my neighbor, she did call that emergency number, and again, after about an hour, nobody ever showed up. So that's, you know, the number that was there,
Sure.
if we're gonna have it there, they need to answer. That's just the bottom line.
And-
Who's ever in charge on the weekend need to answer the phone, period.
I can attest
And
to
if
that.
they don't
because-
do it, then it's a problem.
I can attest to that because I was standing there. I was up there for about an hour and a half, and she was trying to call somebody.
Sure,
Yeah,
and I,
and I had to go back home to get the key and come back.
and unfortunately, and this may be a flaw in the system with renting out the park, but if there's priority calls that morning in the police department, then someone may not be able to make it over there for an hour or two. I mean, I don't know how much a code type system would cost, but it may be something that we look into, so.
okay. Let's move on. Police report, Major?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am staying in for Chief Sanders. She has some personal matters to attend to, so I didn't expect to be here. I'm sorry I'm not dressed appropriately for your council. This is the report that she prepared, so I'm just going to use that as her speaking points for September 1st to October 1st. First, I'll address the statistics for this month if you turn to your packet. Normandy's call for service this month was 930 and accounted for roughly 54% of the total calls for service for the department. Police report total was 87, that accounted for roughly 51%. There were 11 accident reports for the period, which accounted for about 40% of our total accident calls for service. And summonses, there were 466 written for this period, which accounted for 80% of the total traffic citations written by the department for this same reporting period. Number one on her discussion items was traffic enforcement. It is up significantly from years past, and as we're progressing through this year. I really think that's a result of prior recruitment efforts and relocating an officer to the traffic unit. We do have one full-time officer assigned to the traffic unit now, And we look forward to the addition of a second full-time officer to that traffic unit that starts next week. So we will have 2 full-time traffic officers dedicated to the arterial roads, not just the highways, to address speeding issues. So we're really looking forward to that. The other discussion item she has is a flock camera update. I think she's handling that, so she's a little more versed, but I will relay what I know about it. Flock being a third-party vendor, they had applied for the wrong locations where we had initially wanted the flock cameras. So unfortunately, we caught the error. It was after the fact, but it required us for the locations that were in MoDOT's thoroughfare to reapply for some of those permitting issues. And we had to go back with Flock and make sure that they had the proper locations. I think it's important to note that it's not costing the city anything. They have deferred any costs or anything like that to the start of the Flock program to when the cameras are actually in place and working. So it's not costing the city anything except the fact that we'd like to get them up sooner rather than later. Those are the only talking or discussion points that she had. I will thank the council on her behalf for their appreciation. I do understand there were some individual concerns. I jotted those things down, specifically animals running loose and some of the issues with the occupancy permits and cars being stolen from driveways. If I can speak a little bit just on those from my own experience, the cars being stolen from driveways, unfortunately with specific makes and models, it's just endemic to the area. And it's something that it's not just affecting us, but it's affecting regionally. And no matter as much effort as we put in, as many chases as we get, a lot of these are being stolen from driveways where the perpetrators of this are already in stolen vehicles and flee from us in stolen vehicles. And we do, unfortunately, have to weigh, the balance of pursuing these individuals in stolen cars and the damage that they might cause by their careless actions against what is ultimately a property crime. And we're always going to value life more so than property. And we run into that nightly, where cars flee from us. The occupancy issues, I can get with Sam and make sure that we have everything we need to address occupancy issues. I know historically Works Management was a system that the city had that was Regis based, which is the same provider that the PD uses for much of our law enforcement databases. I believe that the city has now gone to a different proprietary one, but I will follow up with Chief and make sure that our officers can access this in case we do have issues regarding occupancy. I'll certainly bring that up with her. If there are, I would ask that you can relay to your constituents, anyone you have issues with, if there are individual problems with things, dogs running loose or anything like that, let us know. If there are issues where it's not being addressed, I'd like to personally know about that because that's something that I can deal with on my end. To echo what Sam said, sometimes there are priority calls for service, sometimes there are things that come up. The system that we had in place was that we would be notified typically when someone does need access to the restrooms and things like that. I know I've personally gone up and opened it up for people before too, but we will make every effort to make sure that the citizens have regular access to that and do our part as much as we can. So if there's a better system for that, I'd be happy to try and address that. But I don't have anything else unless you had any questions for me.
Quick question, Major. For the flock cameras, how long of a delay are we expecting now with the applications?
I don't have that. I would have to reach out to Chief and I can get an answer for you if you'd like. I know the original permitting process required a couple months' time. I don't know how long they're projected this to take now, but only 2 of them I know are on the MoDOT thoroughfares. The other one at Woodstock and Bermuda is going to be located in a county arterial road, so that process I believe went okay. So that one should be going up anytime.
Anyone? Thank you, Major.
Thanks, Major.
Oh, I just wanted to, can I just say something for him?
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
I really wanted to thank the police for their improved response time.
Oh, yes, I can credit the staffing and thanking you for having the police departments back and making sure that we're adequately staffed. We really do want to do a good job for everybody, I promise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Public Works. Dennis, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, I guess I'm learning here that I should come before the council and not sit back in the.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
So I don't have anything to really add to the report that's in your packet. I did want to highlight the fact that our work management system is up and running, that I was able to track our work orders for the past month. We had 145 work orders. They were highlighted by chipping and limb pickups and mowing. That takes up most of our time, but you can see the other areas that we're tracking. And to address your potholes, we are starting to get to potholes with what we have as far as asphalt. The sidewalk repair has been done out here to the, I guess that would be to the west of City Hall. That hasn't been there. It's been in bad shape for a while, but that has now been fixed. You now can identify 2 of the 3 trucks when they're on the road for Normandy. They have the Normandy name and logo on them. We'll be getting the 3rd one done shortly. The lighting in this building and in Public Works and in St. Clair, we've been approved for a grant to get all new LED lighting. So it's not gonna cost us a dime, but we're gonna get all nice lighting in all of our buildings.
You said inside and outside? then?
Just inside.
Just inside.
Yeah, the grant didn't cover outside. I wish it would have, because Public Works really needs some outside lighting, but we'll do with what we got. I talked about speed humps in here. I do have a meeting on Thursday with St. Louis Paving, the guy I've been trying to corral since the last time I talked to you guys. He called and I have that meeting, so I should have some kind of price by the next workshop, at least one. And then I'm trying to get Tops to give us a price. They're the people that are doing the parking lot out here. And you saw that the City Hall patching has the parking lot is being taken care of. The second part will be done tomorrow. They surprisingly came to stripe it this afternoon late, so that's why the striper was out there when you all got here. We had to figure parking. Couple things that I do want to address that you guys asked about. The trash cans, Tony, or Councilman Evans.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing on the work
Okay.
order here.
That's not a specific, that's not something that we track,
Okay.
okay? And I
But you're
can
tracking
start tracking it.
But
What
you're
I was gonna
tracking
say,
Natural Bridge, correct?
do what?
You're tracking Natural Bridge,
Natural Bridge is tracked, yeah.
but Hosea Park is being tracked.
It's tracked as not by itself, you know, not just the park, but what I have, like putting out trash cans and stuff like that. But what we can do is, honestly, it was my understanding you were putting out the trash. That was my understanding, you were doing it, and I never questioned it or anything like that. So hang on, let me finish. Okay, now that I know, that I fully know what's going on,
Right.
it'll just become part of our Monday morning routine.
Okay.
We'll just put the trash cans out Monday morning. We
About
start,
6 o'clock.
we start, when do they come through? Because we start at
Probably
7.
about 7:30, no
Okay,
later
so-
than 8.
So, first, when they get there on Monday mornings, they're gonna have to get over there and put the cans out. But
That's fine, no wrong.
and it was a simple,
I'm getting up Monday morning before work. I mean, I'm coming up in my pajamas and house shoes.
the only other thing we could do is Roosevelt lives here in town. We could pay him on Sunday night to go put the trash cans out. You know, that's an option, but I don't, Rose visiting tonight, our meeting, but I don't wanna speak for him. I don't even know that he would be able to do that. So, but that's, you know, I could ask him, but the main way I would want to handle it is first thing on Monday morning when we come in and go put the
Or
cans out.
Sunday night.
Yeah, that's,
Call waste management and say, you know, pick them up after 7:30?
no.
No?
They have their schedules that when those trucks go through, they go through. If your cans aren't out, they aren't out.
Yeah, they're not waiting for
No.
you.
But I did want to address that because I I felt your passion.
Yeah, yeah.
I understood what was going on.
Cause you know, I'll put them out during the summer because, you know, the baseball, we
You're
get
there.
a lot of trash, so
Yeah.
we're gonna do our part, but season is over now, I'm not up there.
And I'm
You
good,
know?
and I'm good with that. That's, I have no problem
Yeah, I don't
taking
mind.
care of
I
that.
don't-
It's
I
like
get what
anything else. If I know it's something I gotta do, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
And it will be taken care of. Let's see. The non-emergency was already talked about, that for the,
I've got some ideas from that, we'll have a conversation.
sure, that's, and I'm
As you
open.
guys were talking, I'm thinking some
What is
resolution to that
non-emergent,
problem,
what do you
so.
mean? Oh,
For the,
Yeah, we'll
the
have a
part, the
conversation.
non-emergency number and stuff like
Ways to
that.
manage that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can,
Yeah.
there's nothing we can't figure out, so we'll work on that. And I can also, cause I oversee Rick in code enforcement, and I'll talk to him to find out about what's being reported to him and what's not being reported. To my knowledge, you know, Sam said that he didn't know of any. I talk to Rick every day, and he's not mentioned anything with code enforcement issues as far as people complaining. And when I get a complaint that comes to my desk, it gets forwarded to him. So I could even start, if it would help, I could track what comes in to my desk, you know, as far as if that would help.
Is he getting out, going around the city?
Well,
He's
I-
he's out.
Yeah, and if you look at the next written report, we don't have an oral report to council. If you look at code enforcement, there was 37 proactive cases and 4 complaint-based cases. So that's reported to council in your packet. So obviously, we do 90% of our work proactive, and we track every complaint that we get. So
Yeah, and it's in the same system, the new system, that the work management system that we just started for Public Works, that was already in place for code enforcement. So, but I can surely look at that and see that we're tracking what you guys would like to know. So,
May we ask questions?
Sure, go ahead.
It says that it's Public Works Training and Development.
mhm.
What's,
That was the training and development for me to learn how to work the iWork system.
oh,
And that's where when we start training, the official training, we're writing a safety manual and stuff, that's where I will track the time that we're spent when, for the laborers and the supervisor, I'll have a place that I'll be tracking that. That's where that'll be going.
that'll be helpful. The Sinclair building, are we keeping it, or are we putting it up for sale, or?
We're considering keeping that for storage. We'll have that conversation in a workshop.
Got it. The, on the last report last month, I saw that Castle Park was not addressed at all, and since then I've gotten a complaint from a resident there in regards to the driveway. It's loosening up, it's.
There's one big area at Castle Park, when you walk in, I get out there at least once a week. There's, when you drive in, that very entry
Yes.
is falling apart, and as far as, and I can work with Sam on this, we're not sure that what's ours and what isn't ours, as far as if that needs to be hot patched, because it's too much to use the cold patch that I'm using. It would have to be hot
You were
patched.
putting it, gravel, and
I
it stayed for a while.
I put some pea gravel in there.
So maybe you just keep filling the pea gravel in to keep it so it's not a hole? I don't know.
I could, but, it's, I can surely do that, but, the best way would be to hot patch it,
Sure, but
if
at
it's
least the
ours.
pea gravel will keep it somewhat more level,
That's true.
and people don't have to go around that big hole and in and out, and the,
Pea gravel doesn't stay in there because they drive
right,
through there
that's
so
what he's
fast.
saying.
Yeah.
So he calls me and says it's gone, so.
I just have one, couple of things, Mr. Yarborough.
Yes.
I think you got, email, I think Sam maybe spoke to you about the signs on, was that Augusta and Florissant?
That was picked up today.
They picked up today, that vandalism.
Yes.
And, also, since you speaking with Rick, because I can't reach him, the resident on Contour, she's ready to move out of her home and sell her home because of the neighbor next door with the cars that are in there and the big water canyon. We talked about that, Sam, I think almost over a year now. But I think he went to court, and I don't know what's going on with that, but she's ready to sell her house because on Contour. And I think I sent those pictures out. Sam, I think you know what I'm talking about. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Yeah, I think that's, I don't want to speak about a specific resident in a public meeting,
Yeah.
but I believe another summons was issued on the matter you're referring to.
Okay,
just in
yeah,
the past
because
couple
I'm
weeks,
getting
so-
calls and it's just, we just gotta move on it. As far as code violations.
Yeah, that's all we can do is go through the process on that stuff. And I trust that Rick is doing that.
Okay. I just hope we don't lose the residents because of the codes and stuff.
Any
I
questions?
Yeah, I see that, there's a form, there's been interviewing.
Yes.
And so the council will not, be hearing that, the couple that you hone in on, that, how is that hiring gonna work?
And hiring is, Dennis and Sam make those hiring decisions. Unless it's a department head, we don't get involved.
Got it.
Yeah, I've got it, just so you know, I've got it narrowed down to 2 guys. I'm trying to make a decision right now. They both have great skill sets, just a matter of, and then we also just, since we're talking about this, we're 1 person shy down at Public Works. I had to dismiss an employee, so.
So how many people we got down in there?
1 plus
One.
me and a temp. So
We got
we're,
one temp.
humping.
We got 1, a temp, a director, and a foreman. We getting ready to hire a foreman.
And I've
So we
got,
got two top-heavy positions and 1.5 workers. That's what the council voted for, is that right?
No, we've got open positions that we're in.
Yeah, that's what we voted for.
So how many open
We voted
positions?
for
We've got 2 open positions, a foreman and a laborer.
and the labor has, I've made an offer to a laborer, and I'm waiting to hear back from
We
him.
voted to hire a foreman, and we voted to
All right,
hire
let's have
a
it.
director.
Yeah.
And we have 1 worker and a half.
Any more questions for Rick?
One other question, the leaf pad, what's the date?
I talked to Pat Kelly day before yesterday, and there's a problem with the fuel pump. They're trying to get it out. It should be ready to go in
So
the
we
next.
be ready for these leaves?
I'm hopeful, and they're saying yes, it'll be done. So
Now we're 1.5 workers.
Right.
We've got open
Serious.
positions,
Yeah.
we're doing interviews, people are.
well, just to address that, 1.5 that's not a fair statement.
Well,
Because I'm
so-
working full-time, Roosevelt's working full-time, and we have a temp person that's working that's working full-time. We're putting out a lot of work for 3 people.
yeah, I know you are, but,
So,
you know, I'm looking,
Thank you,
you know,
Dennis.
because winter's coming up on us. We're gonna have limbs, we're gonna have leaves, or we're gonna have these workers in place once winter hits.
But they're working on interviewing, it's not that easy if you can't find people to apply for the job, you
yeah,
just keep.
I've got the people,
Well, he said he had the people.
I've made an offer to a laborer,
There we go.
and I'm down to two people on the supervisor,
So he's working on it.
and then, so we're gonna be okay. It's just.
Yeah, I'm just looking out for you. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know,
We're
gonna be
humping,
prepared.
we're doing what we can.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say that that's what the council voted for. We didn't vote for 1.5 people.
So you voted for a director and a foreman, and when I said that in the meeting that we were gonna.
I would like to say that some people voted and some people did not. And just for the record, I did not vote for a foreman. So just so we're talking about that. But I think that it should be addressed from the chair that that's not a valid statement to be made.
And I will acknowledge that.
We did not vote for the.
We're not
we voted
having a
for the
debate
the
on
director.
staffing issues now. This is not the time for it. We can take that up at a workshop. It's not on the agenda. This is time for Dennis to give a report on Public Works.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions for the Public Works Director? Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Yarborough.
you, Dennis.
Thank you. We don't have, unless Mr. Ellis is on Zoom.
He's here.
Did he do that again?
Yes,
It's not getting late.
He's not in his right place, where he usually sits.
I will be
Leave the
here,
church phone over there.
in November, but I will not be here in December. But thank you, Mayor, councilpersons, staff, residents, guests. I'm here to present the narrative for the August 2023 financial report. You all should have a copy of both. The report that was submitted by the Finance Director, Ms. Angela Dorn, as well as the narrative that was submitted by myself. So of course, we are currently in fiscal year 24, but we still have yet to report for the months of August and September for fiscal year 23. So for Part A, summary of the income statement. For the month of August, city recorded a net income of $75,000. That was for revenues of $390,000 compared to expenditures $315,000. Due to that result, the city realized an overall net income for the fiscal year to date of $420,000. Revenues of $4.468 million versus expenditures of $4.048 million. Okay, for the summary of the general fund balance. In the general fund unrestricted cash balance as of August 31st, you had a total of $1,377,000. General fund board designated as of August 31st, $684,000. Unearned revenue from ARPA funds of $45,000. Amounts due to general fund from other funds, $301,000. And amounts due from general fund to other funds of $48,000, resulting in a total overall general fund balance of $901,000. Part C, income for the general fund. So ideally, again, the percentage of the budget remaining for income at fiscal year end at this part of the year should be at or below 8.3%, which would indicate that the amount of actual income was either the same or more than the budget amount of income. Unfortunately, the city has fallen short of the budget amount for income for year to date by about only $1,500, or that is less than 0.1% of the total budget amount. Part D, expenditures by department for the general fund. Conversely, the percentage of budget remaining for expenditures at fiscal year end at this part of the year should be at or above 8.3%, which would indicate that the amount of actual expenditures was either the same or less than the budget amount of expenditures. Unfortunately, the city did spend more than it had budgeted for year to date by just under $45,000, or 1% of the total budget amount. However, when it came to individual departments, some departments fared better in keeping expenses under budget while others did not. Those that had their those under budget were the courts, the streets, and the park. But those that were over budget were the administration and police. That's all I happen to have for my report.
All right. Are there any questions for Mr. Ellis?
I have one question.
Please.
Unearned revenue, ARPA funds, that's a remaining balance, correct? From the ARPA funds that we received 2 years ago,
30,000?
45.
45,000.
Is that the
Yes.
remaining budget?
Yes.
What's the question?
The unearned revenue for ARPA funds is the remaining balance 45,000.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
And what are we using that for? Remind me, the $45,000?
So, it depends on if we spent the money in that month. So there was various different projects that were identified in the fiscal year 23 budget. And as we spend those money in those months, it gets realized. I think at this point in August and for September, and for these first few months in fiscal year 2024, it's gonna be police salaries, going back to the very, beginning of when we spent the ARPA funds.
Thank you, Sam. Anyone else?
So are we not moving in the right direction?
Well, overall, I would say the general fund balance has been increasing. So that's definitely a good thing. And we also have had a positive net income for a majority of the fiscal year. So I would say that we are trending in the right direction. But that, of course, would have to go in tandem with proper fiscal management going forward as well. But as of now, we're in a pretty good spot.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the August 31, 2023 financial report?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you, George.
Jackson, thank you.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Old business, Council Bill 23-22, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Chapter 390 of the Normandy City Code to change the definition of commercial vehicles and to permit overnight parking of certain commercial vehicles on driveways. This was discussed at our last meeting. Our old ordinance was unenforceable. This does give people that need to park their pickup truck and have it licensed commercially in their driveway, one vehicle in a driveway spot, no vehicles of any kind, no commercial vehicles of any kind will be on the street. Is there any questions? Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-22?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, concerns? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Saxenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
No.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rasso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Bill 23-22 is adopted as ordinance number
794.
794. Thank you. Under new business, Council Bill 23-25, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending the City of Normandy Personnel Policy Manual by adding Section 19, Employee Safety. And Sam, I'll let you give some background on how this came about.
I think 2325 is the first item on the agenda, the TIF ordinance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It may have been out of order in the packet.
It's like, with personal, 23, 25.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
23, 25.
Oh, here it is.
It's all in the special allocation fund.
Yeah, sorry, that was
I've got
just
it.
like clerical.
I've got to find it. Yeah, all right. I'll just read it off the agenda.
Yeah.
Council Bill 23-25, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending ordinance number 767, previously adopted October 11, 2022, dissolving the special allocation fund for the Natural Bridge Road Development Area and terminating the designation of certain portions of the city of Normandy, Missouri relating to that redevelopment area, and authorizing certain actions relating thereto. Is there, we'll get an I'll let Andy go ahead and explain what we're doing here before I ask for a motion to approve the first reading.
I apologize, Mayor, I was reading a different ordinance, can you please,
This is the TIF ordinance.
okay, thank you. So, you'll recall, council members, that the council, this time last year, exactly 1 year ago, adopted an ordinance dissolving the TIF fund. And as Sam can attest, the TIF statutes are extraordinarily complicated. And so there was, in the original dissolution ordinance, we addressed the disbursement of what are called pilots, or payments in lieu of taxes, but not EATs, which are economic activity taxes. Pilots are basically the TIF payments in lieu of real estate taxes, whereas EATs are payments in lieu of sales taxes, and they are distributed separately because, of course, they are taxed in different ways, and they're allocated among taxing districts in different ways. So this merely adds language addressing the disbursement of the economic activity taxes, and just puts us back on track to disperse the funds. If you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, it's very much in the weeds, but it has to do with dissolving our TIF, which has $900 and something thousand in it, and redistributing those funds.
Here, and I'll speak to this.
Please.
So,
Please,
the previous, taking out of the legalese, although it's important, because under the previous ordinance, we would have basically paid everything that was in the special allocation fund, whether it's pilots or EATs, based off of property tax. But the state statute allows us to reimburse EATs directly to municipalities. And that basically means the difference between the city getting probably around $100,000 back from the dissolution, because it's about 1.1 million. And if we do it the way this ordinance lays out, we'll get over $700,000 back. Now that money will go back to primarily restricted funds. Some will go into the general fund, a small amount will go into capital improvement, but the large majority of it will go back to economic development, sales tax fund, and the parks and stormwater sales tax fund. And so those are restricted funds. So it's not a windfall of cash to the general fund where we can just spend the money however we want. But basically all this ordinance is saying, before we dissolve the TIF, we're going to redistribute our economic activity taxes. And it's a very important detail, and in figuring that out, that's why we've held off on actually dispersing it, and we found this way that we can do it in a way that's way more beneficial to the city and other political subdivisions that have been collecting EATs. So.
So Sam,
Right,
what
some of this
deal,
will go back to the pool tax, which gets distributed amongst municipalities throughout St. Louis County. What essentially, to even try to simplify it even more, is this just basically the way the taxes would have been collected and distributed had the TIF not existed. That's how they're getting paid out, right? So it just undoes the TIF, essentially.
so basically, will we be able to use some of that money for the entire city or just the economic development of Natural Bridge?
The money goes into the restricted funds. Economic Development Fund traditionally has only been used for Natural Bridge, but we could use it for anything economic development in the city.
In the entire city?
Correct, it's not geographically limited.
And there are restrictions in state law on how you can spend economic development.
That's new, right? New?
No, it's actually, we've had it for quite a few years now. One thing that we can do that will provide some relief to the general fund is we can pay a small portion towards administrative salaries. That will help alleviate the deficit. The rest we could use for purchasing land, developing an economic development plan, different things that are laid out in the statute.
Purchasing land, go ahead, Mr. Starr.
What do you mean by purchasing land?
That's just what
It's
allowed.
just an example of what you could do with the money.
Oh,
It's an allowable use.
For economic development.
We use it for streets repair.
Street, you could build it to, you'd probably use it to build a new street, but street repair, may be a little bit harder to make that connection to economic development, unfortunately.
All right, is there a motion to accept the first reading of Council Bill 23-25?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor? Any opposed? We'll address this again at our next meeting. Yeah.
At the workshop or?
Unless there's questions about
Oh,
it.
the next, okay.
We'll have our second reading at the November meeting. Next item of business, Council Bill 23-26, the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Norman, Missouri, amending the Personnel Policy Manual by adding Section 19, Employee Safety. This is a work in progress. This is general safety, and I know that department heads are creating their own safety policies that this ordinance allows them to do. Is that stated correctly?
More or less, yes, but there's a reason why it's structured that way, and I kind of want to talk about that. So in speaking with our work comp carrier, back when we were with MEM, one of the things that they recommended for municipality is to have a municipal safety plan that's structured to where you basically have a different safety plan at each department level. And that's because, municipalities do a wide, diverse range of stuff. The rules for the public works guys and the specific risks and hazards that they face daily on the job are going to be different than an office setting, and it's going to be different than police work as well. So what this ordinance basically does, it adds a new section to our personnel policy manual. It outlines the general principles for the safety plan, some general rules for the safety plan, provides expectations about what department safety plans will look like, and then it provides enforcement mechanisms for safety rules. And this is a different approach than the traditional in what we have now, whereas we have one big, long safety plan that is kind of unwieldy and sits in a 3-ring binder. This will, put it in each department's hands and make sure that they're actively, it's well tailored to their needs and actively being used. And the enforcement mechanisms involved with that, which is in the third section of the policy amendment, aim to promote that to where safety's a daily thing. For instance, weekly safety meetings are required, and departments that are higher risk, there's safety incentives, and there's pretty harsh enforcement mechanisms for, and rightfully so, for employees who are not taking safety seriously. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I think that was a good explanation. Is there a motion to accept the first reading of Bill number 23-26?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional questions about what this is? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Very well written, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
Next item on the agenda, Resolution 23-35, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with the St. Louis County Board of Election Commissioners for provision of election and candidate filing processing services for the 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028 municipal elections. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-35?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Is there any questions, concerns, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right.
Same number?
This picture.
physical, except for the audit.
Oh, yes, thank you. All right, you've got in front of you our 2022 audit. Is there a motion to accept the fiscal year 2022 audit?
Motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Yolanda, just
Did we get a second?
gotta see your face, Yolanda. No?
Do you have a second?
I don't have a second.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Are there any questions? We've got the letter explaining, I think we came out of this thing in.
I'm sorry, can you see me?
No?
No.
Not yet.
Wait, okay, I'm on my phone and my computer.
Okay.
I can see.
I can see.
The audience can see.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments or concerns about this audit?
Congratulations to everyone on getting this done and
This was a
getting it
lot of
through.
work.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous amount.
I know
Tremendous
it's a
amount of
big-
hours went into this.
Well done.
We have a motion and a second to accept the fiscal year 2022 audit. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, at this time, I understand we have some folks that signed up for citizen comments.
Sandra Crawford?
Good evening, I'm Sandy Klepper. I live at 7703 Augusta, on the corner of Marietta and Augusta with my husband Tony, 44 years. Just a few things. About a month ago, I emailed for a particular, it's the neighbor that's behind us on Marietta. There's a derelict. The tags, looks like it's been from 2023. No, I'm sorry, it's 222, I guess. But it's just derelict sitting in front of their house. It's been there for about 2 months, so I waited about a month to see if, since it's such a good flowing street, if anybody else would notice, or if it's just me, because I'm the neighbor and I back out of the driveway. So I guess I'm just concerned, and then there's hoarding kind of going on there. I've, tried to address that as well. And that's kind of gotten taken care of. But, it devalues not only my home, but everybody on the street, everybody in Normandy. I feel like we're becoming sometimes like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wellston, I've lived here 44 years. We've invested everything in that house. And we keep, investing more, because that's our livelihood there. So I guess I didn't hear anything back. The car's still there. I think there might be a ticket on it. So I don't know if it's, who takes care of it? The police, the code enforcement, and then once it does get issued, how long do they have? I keep my license tags up because it's the law. So I don't know why, you can go around the street. I'll do a volunteer if you want, because I like keeping my neighborhood up. So I just don't know what the procedure is and.
If it's on the street, it's a police issue, and I can get some answers.
Okay. And then, again, we have, there's tarping things in people's driveways. Again, how it looks for the neighborhood. Now, I don't have a problem if it's tagged, but if it's a derelict piece of something, they're just hiding it, so I guess you can keep it there. I just don't know what what's the ordinance on that? Can we just tarp old cars and keep them on the street and the driveway, or? I wanna know, cause I really wanna know. I've been here this long, many years. Can somebody answer my question?
Yeah, you can tarp a vehicle that's licensed but you
And totaled,
you
right?
can't have a derelict vehicle in your driveway.
So the tags
Sometimes
have to
it's
be
hard to tell the
expired,
difference.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it can be just a piece of junk, but tarped. Okay, so we can do that. Okay. And then flat tires, cars. We can just leave them there people don't get them fixed right away, but you can keep them there for a month for flat tires?
I'm not a code enforcement officer, my guess would be that's a derelict.
Okay, thanks. I'm just asking questions. And there's a few potholes on Waco. I guess those are gonna get addressed. Maybe you guys have addressed that. Cause I already have to get a little wheel alignment, but going down Waco, you kinda, here we go. Without hitting the cars. And then thanks whoever cut the bushes back going down on, is that Circle? And then you know how before you stick your nose out and you almost get hit?
Yeah.
Now we can see. I just wanna say thanks to whoever took care of that.
That was most.
That's awesome. I am so glad.
That's recent.
That's really good. And then waste management, they've been great, except our street, and then it's not, the city of Normandy's problem because it's waste management. But I have to call but it's fine. They're really nice. They always come back out. Somehow or another, they always miss Marietta. And I don't know why they don't like our street. I don't know. We're just about, what, 4 houses on there that get picked up, so. Let's see. So anyway, when I emailed something, do I get a response? Because I give you my name, phone number, address, and email about when I emailed on something that should be addressed. And if it's not addressed, do I not get, thank you for, emailing about this. I don't get a reply?
Typically, a complaint would not, if it goes through the website, but again, I'll find out more about the process that you.
Well, because I put my phone number, I put everything in there. So it'd be nice just to know that, because maybe you guys didn't get it. I don't even know if you got it. It could have got lost in nowhere
That's a
land.
valid point, I'll find out.
So it'd be nice if I do give you my information, I'd like a prompt response. Got it.
Good.
Other than that, I love Normandy. Let's keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Carrie Gannon.
Terry Gannon, 7620 Augusta. First of all, I want to thank Tony for taking out the trash without being asked. Oh my gosh, just like a husband. Yes. He didn't even know it was his job and he did it anyway. Yay, Tony. Okay, so now we know. Okay. And I also want to thank the police. Oh my gosh. I mean, at the jazz festival, they were wonderful. Their presence, it's really our police are really the face of Normandy. And when they're out there talking to the people, playing with the kids, stopping on the parking lots, talking to the people, it's great. I had a little homeless person in a car for a week on the church parking lot, and the police were so nice to her, even though she had some issues, but they were so nice to her and so gentle. I thought they were really professional and really handled that well. So I want to thank the police for that. And also, we've had a little issue in the neighborhood with the, we call them the junior high jokers. Back when Normandy had grades 1 through 8 at the complex over there, we really didn't have that many problems. Well, now they're back to junior high. I don't know what they did with the 1 to 8. I don't know where those kids are going, but those kids are out on the street. And they're fighting each other, and they're rolling in the parking lot, and they're on people's lawns, and they're up and down Natural Bridge. And it takes, I don't know, where's that police officer?
Major.
He left? Okay. So, but they have to be out there from the time those kids leave school and process them down the street just to keep them from beating up each other. It's just crazy. And that is not a good use of our police services, but they do a good job. And so I want to thank them for that, but I don't know if maybe when it gets cold, they won't be walking. This really only does seem to happen in cold weather, so maybe we should, in warm weather, so maybe we should pray for cold weather. I'm happy to hear that we're going to have Leaf back. Is that right? We're going to have Leaf back? Yeah, and limb chipping?
Our public works director was proactive about getting it serviced, so we didn't wait till we needed it to find out it wasn't working.
So when does it
It's been in
start?
the shop for quite a while, and we
Do we know when that's going to start?
The leaves aren't down yet.
Especially, the limb chipping.
Oh.
I have a personal reason for asking. Limb chipping. Do we know?
We don't have a
Dennis,
schedule for limb.
Oh, we don't have a chip, huh?
We've been picking up limb all summer long.
Put it on the curb.
Well, we've been kind of putting it in things and,
Well, the ideal way is.
well, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, but they want us to bundle and cut and tie and, you
Well,
guys,
the limb chipping,
come by and.
we're moving away from the limb chipping.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Oh, so then I shouldn't get my hopes up, just keep doing what I'm doing.
And
Okay.
people were taking advantage and bringing
Okay.
material in from out of town because they knew we did it. And it was
Okay.
getting out of hand.
Okay.
Mark, could you remind her about the bins that they would pick up and?
She had them out.
Yeah, we have. Okay, and then just one last thing, because we're talking about speed bumps, and this is not meant to be serious. So when Steve Saxonheimer was talking about all the potholes and everything, you know, if we don't fix the potholes, we don't need speed bumps. So think of all the money we would save. Let's just take paint and draw around the potholes, and then we won't need speed bumps. Just think of the money we'll save. So there you go. Okay. I'm just being facetious. That is not serious, but kind of I am.
Thanks for
Okay.
ending on that funny note.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, on the agenda, next on the agenda is our speed holes.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Speed holes.
Is there another?
There's another person who actually requested to be on the list, Daisy Lomax.
Sure.
Good evening to all. My name is Daisy Lomax. I reside at 7252 Normandy Place. I just want to hitchhike on about our Normandy Police, how fantastic they are, how wonderful and organized they were the night of our first jazz festival. They were polite and they were courteous to everyone. That's the first thing I want to say. Also, I want to say, commend them on their speedy response when a situation happens. They respond very quickly. The next thing I want to talk about is, I keep hearing a rooster behind my house, which is in Glen Echo, which is the next street over, well, behind my house. And I want to ask the question, does our ordinance of no chickens or roosters apply to them since the merge?
It will in February.
Okay. Okay. And then my next question is, how will we be able to determine where the rooster is located?
It shouldn't be hard.
Because it's, I mean, it echo, you know.
I know what's it. Right behind your house.
Yeah, but, so, okay, those are my questions. I thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So far.
Huh? So what door did you wear now?
All right, is that it for citizen comments? At this time, I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session to discuss a real estate issue.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Well, yeah.
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilman Nelson,
Yes.
Councilman Hahn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Roscoe,
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yolanda. Thank you all for coming.
Ayes have it,
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you, everyone. All right.
Thank you for